We feel that sort of having an identity restrains you. If every project starts to look the same, it sort of defies the purpose of creating new things. We of course took this concept of a florist store. It was the first of its kind in Bangalore, and took this inspiration of the Zen Garden. But instead of being quite so literal with the concept, we took this concept onto the plan, wanted to just break that idea. Why should we take 4 tiles and make them repeat? Why can't we take these 4 tiles and make them not repeat? How about we place them in a certain way? Let's deconstruct the concept of Bharat flooring and create something unique for the house, for the floor. Hi guys, thank you Foaid for having me here, and congratulations on your 10 years. So when Shraddha reached out to me and said, you can come up and talk about anything for 10 minutes and show your work, I was a bit stumped because, you guys can see our work on our website and on our Instagram. So I thought perhaps instead of just showing you our work, we can show you the stuff that you don't see, the inception of the work, what gets it started, the journey where the work actually began. So as a studio, we have a lot of unexpected inspiration. So I thought I'll lead you through 10 projects with 10 of these unexpected inspirations. So as a studio, I really identified with what Sudipto said about the identity. As a studio, we hate to be confined. We don't like to have an identity in our design because we feel that sort of having an identity restrains you. If every project starts to look the same, it sort of defies the purpose of creating new things. So we always like to just get out of our containment, step away, step outside, break the rules, not break the rules, be a bit unpredictable, and take it from there. And you guys all know the saying, think outside the box. So with us, we believe that there is no box. There's just infinite space in our mind to explore and to create. So I'm going to start you off with one of our most dramatic projects, which was inspired by the English phone booths. And as this journey began, it was for an architect couple, and they didn't want to do their own house because they were too attached to it. So they came to us and wanted something quirky. And when we said, hey, are you fine with having English phone booth doors as the beginning point of your house? They were extremely excited. And hence, a color palette similar to this was created, and we stuck to it quite rigidly. So you'll see the pictures of how this was the starting point and how the colors sort of evolved along with it for the rest of the house. Everything had to be very geometric, and the doors had to kind of be the hero in the project. And of course, for the entry, because we like to have these pièces de résistance, we had a very Baroque door to enter this very modern space. The second project, this project was inspired by Marion Dorn's rug, which was in the Claridge Hotel in London, early 90s. So we kind of wanted to create permanence of this beautiful graphic in our home, but instead of actually making a rug, we did a lovely marble inlay at the entrance of the home, and again, everything really revolved around that. It was highly geometric, very black and white, and very high in contrast. And this was the palette for the house. So we kind of took this oval shape, created a lovely light installation above. Even the rooms took on the palette. The third project, so here we were, we all take inspiration from Earth, of course. So in this project, we really took inspiration of everything curvy and voluptuous in Earth, the topography, the repeating fish scales, the repeating patterns of mushrooms. And the palette was very earthy, but taken into a very contemporary way. So here what's important is actual floor plan. Instead of just taking the marble and laying it out in big slabs, we actually took the marble and sort of tried to recreate these repeating patterns that we see. And we created this quirkiness with the black and white stripe. And in the upper level, we did something a little more intense and central. And this is the result. So you see the waves, you see the topography in the ceiling, the step ceiling. You also see the same language continue in the furniture. Even the lights kind of come out of the ceiling. Even if you see the step detail, we see that step detail of the layers. So this was one of our very first projects, and back in the day when we weren't so obsessed with Instagram and Facebook and documenting everything we do and say, we were inspired by this lovely candy wrapper that we received for Christmas, and it was a single wrapper with a two-sided color. One was olive green and one was rust. So this is as close as a picture that I could find. And the entire palette was derived on this, and it was also a bit of inspiration from Le Corbusier's Villa La Roche's Passage. So here we used a poured floor and had olive walls with all the mid-century modern furniture. So it really created a very special vibe for us. This project is is actually the latest project that we have done, and the client pretty much challenged us because we said here, we'll do this in India, we'll do this in Italy, we'll do this from Sri Lanka, and they challenged us. They said, there's a lot of stuff being made in India, and they were absolutely right, and they said, we want you to do everything from India. So in this project, just outside of the main chandelier, everything is sourced in India, the flooring, the wall finishes, the furniture, the lights, and it is really quite wonderful. This is the floor slide. That is the only thing that is not made in India. So here's one of our earliest projects. It is a Japanese flower shop. So we, of course, took this concept of a florist store. It was the first of its kind in Bangalore, and took this inspiration of the Zen Garden. But instead of being quite so literal with the concept, we took this concept onto the plan, and we said, okay, let's see what we get when we put these concentric circles into the plan. And of course, we didn't want to use it on the floor because that would be too obvious. So we kind of thought about it and looked at all the materials used in Japan, also the materials that she works with, and we found this wonderful bamboo veneer, and we created a light installation on the ceiling. So we find these repeating patterns up there, and that became the star of her little shop. And of course, we created a little pathway where we actually are able to do that. This is my own house, my most difficult project. So here we were really inspired by color blocks. My husband and I just love color, and we wanted a pink wall in our garden. So I think it all started from there. So we played with these colors. And we created these color blocks and also created little niches where the colors actually change. And not one of them is something that you'll see completely throughout the house, so you don't really ever feel bored. And creating this duality and a little wainscot allows you to have the same color in different tones. Sorry. And you can see a glimpse of the pink wall outside, and it will come to it. So the pink wall really was the start point of it, because I believe that the plants really pop out in any sort of a bright color, whether it's blue or black or yellow, and they look really lovely against than just a plain white. This was the very first house we designed, and the client allowed us to even choose the architecture for this house. There were 3 options. One was a courtyard house, one was fairly futuristic, and one was a more modern home. And in this house, we particularly chose it because it had about 12 columns, and instead of hiding the columns or making them neutral, the columns became the actors in the house. Each column was hand-painted by an artist using themes from all over different Indian dynasties, right from like Mughal to Chettinad, and you can see how the whole home takes on Sri Lankan elements, Chettinad elements, Mughal elements, and really is a playful, warm home, a holiday home for this client. And taking some of the motifs from the columns, we kind of translated and moved those into the rooms as well, so that there is some sort of homogeneity in the spaces. This is also a very, very interesting project in the same community as the previous house, and this architecture was the more modern architecture. And in this project, we use the Bharat flooring to really do something different. So I'm sure all of you are aware of Bharat flooring. You take 4 tiles and they make one pattern that repeats. So we wanted to just break that idea. Why should we take 4 tiles and make them repeat? Why can't we take these 4 tiles and make them not repeat? How about we place them in a certain way? Let's deconstruct the concept of Bharat flooring and create something unique for the house, for the floor. And this is the palette that we derived for the house. And this is what we did with the Bharat floor. And we took those same 4 tiles and we didn't repeat them. And this was the result. And the laying for this was incredible. It was like one big jigsaw with thousands of numbers on them. So to kind of work with the floor geometry, we took on some, to kind of give it a relief, we took some curved shapes. And finally, the last work, inspired by one of my favorite artists, Jackson Pollock, was really loves how none of his works are even repeatable, even by him. Every work is unique, every work is a chance, almost like Dadaism. And so in a really fun, interesting restaurant, we, along with the artist, I took buckets and we just splashed paints on the walls and the ceilings, and it ended up being one of the nicest and most interesting restaurants, you know, inspired by Jackson Pollock. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farah. Thank you so much.